In this introductory video, I'm just going to go through a few of the book repair supplies that you will be seeing in future videos. It is by no means an exhaustive list. Not everything that I will use will show up here, but many of the items such as paper towels or cotton swabs can be easily found as household items. So the first supply that I'm going to show is PVA glue. This can also be considered book glue. It's different from just traditional school glue, Elmer's glue. This one is pH neutral. This is to help to mitigate any acid damage that may occur to the books as the glue gets older. This glue dries somewhat clear. It does leave behind a bit of a texture, and it does dry flexibly, so you should be able to use it for books and the pages can flex. Next, we also have book tape. This is a very wide roll, and then I also have a more skinnier roll. This is generally used for tears of glossy paper, and it can also be used as preventative measures, such as in this book. It may be difficult to see, but there is book tape all here going across the spine and in the back. This is to just reinforce the spine. It is an old library book, but as you can see, the spine itself is in good condition. There isn't any obvious crease marks that are marring the spine, and so this book tape just helps with that preventative measure to try to keep it clean as well as the spine intact. Next, we have some waxed thread. May be difficult to see. This is generally used for book binding itself, used in tandem with these curved needles. As well as straight needles. These needles have quite a large eye on them, which helps you get that thick waxed thread through them. And you can't stitch a book without putting holes in the book. So here is an awl. Has a bit of a protective plastic cover on it because it is very sharp. This tip here is meant to punch through books, specifically so you can go through and stitch them together. Here we have some binder clips. They aren't necessarily just for book binding, but they are very similar in use as a woodworker would use clamps in order to keep their wood in the same place while the glue is drying, or just having a helpful extra set of hands. Next, we have a brush, good for putting on glue, especially when you need not a very precise application, but a wide application. Generally, precise applications, I use cotton swabs, as they are much smaller. Next, we have a bone folder. This is generally used in order to make clean creases, or to get the air out of any tape that you're using. This bone folder has one rounded edge and one pointier one. Some have both round edges, and they can help if you need a tighter corner or just trying to get the air out. It's very useful just to be able to have firm, even pressure on the book. Here I have some Japanese paper. This is used for mending, and it's a very loose type of paper. You can see through it partially, but it's mostly used for mending. It's commonly used for archival repairs, which is not particularly what we're going to be looking at, but it is a strong repair that can be useful even in a public library setting. And lastly, I have some cereal paper, which is the plastic that cereal comes in the box. It's useful because PVA glue does not stick to this paper. You can also use waxed paper, but generally this is perhaps more easily found if you eat cereal. Generally, you'll just cut these into strips, fold them over, and then put them in the book where you don't want the glue to touch. It is very useful in order to protect surfaces from glue as well as the book itself.